Those guys make things that are very wrong look correct. Okay? And so I wanted him here, 90% of the weight on his left side, heel leading the toe, and I wanted to feel like his chin and his sternum were beyond the club head, even though the ball was there. And he was like, I'm just going to hit it so low from here. And I'm like, but you're already hitting it low doing what you're doing. Okay, because he's coming in, obviously the club's passing the hands, which means the face is getting de-lofted very quickly, because that toe's closing, closing, closing. Especially when he's been told to be square at impact, so now there's no room for the club to keep moving on the arm. It's a perfect storm. It's a perfect hurricane, like Category 5. So he starts getting it where he's just on top of it, and he's compressing it as hard as he can, and the thing is like that. He's like, how is that happening? And I was like, well, that's just it. If I couldn't be more excited right now that you don't even know. Like the sky is completely the limit right now. So you should be pretty excited that you have this much potential still, and you've been 6th in the world at one point. You know? So it doesn't really matter, but no one's right, no one's wrong. Okay? If you're selling 10 lessons and they come back for all 10, then you're doing something right. You know? And if you want to teach, one of the best ways that I did it is it's all about experience. It's all about 10,000 hours. It's all about that type of stuff. It's how much you can do it. Okay? The thing that upset me the most about Charlie Wee's comments and the comments of so many people that they have made is that they didn't give any credit to the 16,000 people who took lessons from me and how much they taught. Do you know what I mean? So the more, and everyone who's taught here for a living knows exactly what that is. All right? I had a lady once tell me something like 10 years ago. I was teaching this lady, and I can't remember the exact comment, but I'll never forget hearing a complete beginner say it better than any teaching pro I'd ever heard say it. And I was like, I'm going to use that. You know? And then was learning right away. It's like, why do so many people talk it? So you listen to someone, they say, well, if you are on your left-sided impact, and if your arms are here on the downswing, they're really steep. Steep has got nothing to do with your hand path. Hand path's going to change the way the ball curves. So I remember hearing one instructor make a comment about another instructor and saying, oh, that left side stuff's going to make you too steep. Right? And I thought it was funny because even though I'm not big into staying here and starting there and staying there and doing all that, I'm about getting there, but not necessarily starting there. Because if you lose the transfer in between the feet of pressure and the ground above, you lose some of the couple forces that create velocity. Okay? And I've never seen an athletic movement. I've seen them all end on the left side, but not necessarily start there. Okay? But that being said, as I can completely load into the ground, load into this quad, into this glute, and I have my head moving much. My head's probably going to move this way because my spine's turning underneath it. Right? And he was talking about making too steep. I don't care how you look here, okay? On the way down. How you look here on the way down. If you look this way at the bottom, it's shallow. So they said that's the problem with amateurs, they're too steep. I'm like, show me an amateur is too steep. So I start realizing that all I have to do to get this person to hit the ball better is tell them that you can't get under the ball. I'm like, I start every lesson with beginners and people who weren't very good and say, what are you trying to do with that ball? Well, I'm trying to get underneath it, get it up in the air. I'm like, do you know what loft is? No. You see that angle right there? That's loft. So what's loft? Well, you see these grooves. Okay, if you create friction between the ground and these grooves, and then you have the position of the loft, whether it's 60 degrees or 32 degrees, the ball's going to come off basically at that angle. Well, I'm like, for the most part. Okay? Now, if you compress it into the ground, it's going to create spin, and there's going to be friction. And the greater the friction, the more spin there's going to be. Oh, so you're telling me I can hit the ground? Yeah, I can smoke the ground. Oh, okay. 10 minutes later, I'm literally the Messiah, and they want to buy 15 lessons. Because they've been taking lessons, they've been told about grip and being on plane and all that, and they don't know that they are simply supposed to do that. You see? So that, that being said, it's like the answer isn't almost that complex. What's better, 2-plane or 1-plane? I don't know. I don't care. I could care less. I could care less. Like, is Ledbetter right and Butch wrong? I could care less. I don't care. I care about that person who's standing in front of me and obviously providing them with a service that is supposed to, help them. But look, I've had plenty of lessons where a lady's bought 5 lessons or a guy's bought 5 lessons, and all we talk about is the issues they're having with their kids and their wife or their husband. The whole time, we don't even talk about golf. And they can't, I've taught people now for 8 years who have never improved, like literally never improved. But they have improved their relationships, they've improved their self-view, and that's huge. So when people say you're just teaching golf, well, yeah, it's not cancer. It's not like, I'm not an oncologist. But like I said earlier, there's a function of understanding, like there's things that are endemic that are happening within the human body right now. They're all tied into depression. Okay, because if your thoughts have the ability to change that water and your cell structure is made up of that, how do you expect that not to metastasize? So, more than anything, we talk about the golf swing for 2 months or whatever. If you're ever interested and I'm teaching, just ask me if it's cool, but just sit on the hill and you can listen. Like I said, none of this is original. It's not like anything I created myself. I've had little kind of moments where I've been like, whoa, all I've done is said something that's already been said 100 times, which comes from obviously my perception. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. That's pretty much the gist of it.
I have a question. There's obviously you and Butch and Ledbetter and whatnot in like the golf mechanics industry, I guess, and swing and instruction. Right. And then you got the TPI guys that teach like golf fitness, and then there's the Rotellas and the guys that teach psychology and whatnot. Do you think that there's like an open market for like golf course management that hasn't really been tapped yet?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. My dad used to be, he came from Scotland with like $50 in his pocket. He was a chemist and a physicist, and he worked at DuPont in their photochemicals, and then they thought, look, this guy's just way too cool. We need him out and trying to sell him this stuff. 30 years later, he's vice president of DuPont, and he would go to golf courses and just sit back and watch how things are being done. And be like, this is so useless. I used to say, well, Dad, what's useless about it? He's like, they're going to come either way because they love golf.